It is possible to apply as a team on the innovator visa, but as you may know from my previous videos, I do not generally recommend it. It is generally best on the innovator visa to have one person, one business. By contrast, with the global talent visa, the position is much more straightforward. So let's start with the innovator visa teams. The main points here are that Home Office finds it harder to know who is the controlling mind. So if you are co-founders, let's say, or especially if you're joining an existing business, the Home Office needs to be satisfied that it's your business idea. If there is more than one person, then whose business idea is it? And who actually is running things? Well, I've highlighted before that it's not permissible to piggyback off someone else's business idea. So if you're going ahead on the basis of an innovator team, then you need to account for the genesis of the idea and then work out an appropriate division of labor, let's say between sales and technical development, which is typical for some of my clients. And then you need to plan ahead to see how you will meet the criteria. So the success criteria are multiplied by the number of innovators associated with the business. That means that the more people you have, the more difficult it is to achieve settlement, so indefinite leave to remain. Let's look at the position with 2 people. So in this example, you could have created 20 jobs for resident workers as opposed to 10 and invested at least £100,000 in the business as opposed to £50,000. And it gets even more challenging with 3 innovators in the team. Again, it is multiplying each time. So with 3 people, you can see in this example that the criteria you need to satisfy are at least 50,000 has been invested. The business has generated a minimum annual revenue of 1 million and 20 jobs for resident workers have been created. Now, these are optional criteria, so that's just a selective example. But you can see that it multiplies each time and becomes therefore potentially more challenging. One of the examples where I have assisted a team is with computer programmers who had a computer game that was to be very successful, and they had precedents for that with a very large revenue. So it was clear that in each case, they would each separately be able to be endorsed, and that would pass the Home Office checks. And then also they had a reasonable prospect of also meeting the settlement criteria on the revenue projections alone. But of course, that's not always the case. Now, with the Global Talent Visa, you do not need to satisfy any such criteria. So each co-founder, let's say, secures his own endorsement, but unlike with the Innovator Visa, you do not need a further endorsement at the end of the 3-year term. So no need for any further endorsement for ILR. And this is particularly relevant now in light of the fact that the innovator endorsing bodies are in the process of being cut down from their current numbers, there are presently dozens, to what is likely to be 2 or 3. So the vast majority of the current endorsing bodies will likely not be endorsing after October this year. Now, I've talked in previous videos about the re-tendering exercise that the government is conducting as shown in its advertised tender. This means that if you're endorsed now, or you have been endorsed and you're coming up for endorsement for ILR after October of 22, then you would likely be making the ILR endorsement application to a different endorsing body than your current endorsing body. I would add that the position with the soon-to-be legacy endorsing bodies is yet to be confirmed, and I'll do an update as soon as it is. If you do need to apply to a different endorsing body, so if the current endorsing body you're with does not survive the retender exercise, and you need that ILR endorsement after October, then that's not necessarily a problem. But if you can have global talent instead, then you don't need to secure a further endorsement at all. And by that point, I would say if you've been on the innovator process for a while, or if you qualify for it, that may be on the basis of a digital product, in which case you may well qualify for global talent in any event, in which case it may be an easier alternative for you. Now, the beauty of the global talent visa is that there are barely any conditions for ILR. You only need to show that you have earned money in your field of expertise. And the video I did a few days ago did a walkthrough of how you can do this on the so-called Set O form. You can do pretty much anything on that visa, and you are beholden to pretty much no one. All it asks you to do when you come to apply for ILR is, it asks you this: have you earned money in your specialist field in your most recent period of leave on this route? That's the only criterion for ILR, leaving aside the standard residency and other requirements. Now, the process for applying as a team is not a specific subcategory of the Global Talent Visa. There's no joint endorsement. It's just a case of a dual application by, say, the two co-founders. The only thing that is common to the innovator team rules is that each co-founder should satisfy the criteria in his or her own right. So, to put it in really clear terms, you cannot have a situation where one co-founder is saying, I built this, and the other co-founder is saying, I built this. The division of labor needs to be made really very clear. And again, one cannot really piggyback off the other. It may be the case that each made a valid contribution to one result, but each separate contribution needs to be separately delineated so that it can be shown that each person qualifies in his or her own right. So if you're looking at forming an innovator team, or you're already an innovator team, have a serious look at achieving the same result or a better result in terms of indefinite leave to remain on the global talent route. Now, as I've highlighted before, any time you may have already spent on the innovator visa counts towards the 3 years to ILR on the global talent visa, as you can see from this rule. Now, that meant in my recent case that I was able to switch my client from qualifying leave under their visa and then do the global talent ILR application within a few weeks after the first global talent endorsement. So if you'd like help with a visa application, I have a consultation service. You can select a time to speak with me using the link in the description just below. I'd be happy to hear from you.